Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 14th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 26 live feeds. It was day 60 in the house, and yes, the feeds did come back. So we have some things to talk about, including an HOH winner, nominations, and what's going on with why the feeds were down and what the twist is like and all of that stuff. And with me to talk about all of that is Chantele. How you doing, Chantele?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy that we had some feeds to watch. Not happy with the fact that it's whispering the entire time. It's so frustrating.
It is. It is. So what's happening here is that this new twist, the Janky Twist, Janky being the, I guess, Ainsley replacement, has stuck them outside for theoretically the week. Direfest twist. Um, I just want to get this out of the way. This is awful. It's awful for the house guests. They're just laying around outside in the sun, trying to avoid the sun, just exhausted and tired and not having a good time. Barely talking game. They're all out in the same area. They can't it's not even like Survivor where they could walk
To the well.
away,
Yeah.
and, talk game. They have to just kind of go to a corner or go up to the balcony and whisper to each other while loud planes are flying overhead. It's I don't mean this in an exaggerating way. This is not hyperbole. The feeds are unwatchable. They're unwatchable. Anybody that would watch these feeds is so far gone that nobody wants to watch this. There's not a single person out there that's like, yes, give me more plane noises. Um,
Whispering about what? I can't tell.
it's awful. It's terrible. And th- I'm not getting paid enough.
Are they trying to punish us for wanting the feeds? I don't understand because I don't feel like Direfest was a hit. I don't feel like that week was super successful and it got the best numbers. It wasn't the best to cover live feed wise. I'm just curious as to why you think they brought this back. Lock them inside the house. Why outside the house?
I honestly have no I can only imagine that there's something wrong with the house.
Oh.
Which is not true because they must have planned this. This is not clearly not some last minute thing. But
And isn't there a wave going on in California?
there was
Okay.
luckily it ended. But I mean this would be absolutely impossible if the heat wave was still going on.
Okay, I was actual torture. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. But it's awful. There's very little game talk happening. When it does happen, it's hard to listen to. It's annoying. They're annoyed. It's the whole process is miserable, and this is potentially going to go on for the entire week. And so, yeah,
I'm like, well, at least I got my update out of the way. Probably won't have to listen as much in the future.
yeah.
Sorry.
So they only have pizza and ice cream to eat, and maybe some candy or something. I don't know.
Which is also, I mean, fine. They're provided food. I remember back in the olden days when we had, the have-nots would have two kind of gross snacks that they could eat, but I'm just still not sure as to why this is what they want to do to these people. I know it's janky, so everything's going to be a little bit wonky and a little bit off kilter and a little bit strange, I guess, but I don't see the point of it yet. Are they getting good coverage? Are they ooh, the backdrop's amazing.
Maybe they were just like, All right, everyone. It's time for a week off. Everyone except for the people that have to do the subtitles. Sorry, you're going to have to work overtime, but everyone else, way less stuff to do. There's less game talk. There's less camera switching. There's, like.
But they do cut the feed still quite a bit, so that person's job is still intact.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, in Montreal, they have the construction holiday where there's a week in, like, I think it's August, where nobody works. And so maybe it's something like that. Like maybe second week of September, nobody works on Big Brother.
Maybe. It's like a carnival out there. So that's like the theme. There's some carnival games and stuff like that. There's some other stuff, but it's honestly, it's not interesting. So we're gonna move past. So that is my complaint for the week. Just understand that if I'm grumpy or if the live feed updates are a little bit shorter this week, it's because I don't have the patience for it. So that is, and there's not much happening. So it's a bit of a twofold there. All right. So despite this, there was good news, seemingly, because we did get an HOH result that was very exciting. After Quinn was evicted, we had talked about who would be the most exciting HOH, Leah or Angela. They talked about targeting T-Core and Chelsea. And if that happened, the entire game resets. The entire game blows up. The entire game shifts in a way that dramatically changes how likely it is for players like Leah or Angela to win the game. And wouldn't you know it, Leah won the HOH.
Woo!
Oh boy. Here it is. Just a couple hours after the update yesterday, feeds come back to a Leah HOH. I'm hopping on Twitch. I'm talking for an hour about how good this is for Leah's game and how the play has to be T-Core and Chelsea on the block, running through every scenario. 2 from one side on one side, 2 from one side on the other side. Nope, none of those really work. It's got to be Chelsea and T-Core. Could you put up a pawn like Cam first? Nope, it's got to be Chelsea and T-Core. From every angle, Chelsea and T-Core is just the perfect set of nominations, and it's exactly what she said she wanted to do. So surely.
Surely.
Yeah, she's turns out there's some different plans. Now she won this competition. It apparently lasted hours and hours and hours. Very long lasting HOH competition that we did not get to see on the feeds because again, they hate us. They wanted to show us just the lame stuff outside and not the actual exciting stuff. I mean, can you imagine how exciting it would have been to watch Leah for, 8 hours plus
holding onto a marshmallow, I think I heard.
Yeah, just like doing the thing against the thing and winning the competition and being excited. And then we would have been disappointed, but at least we would have been more excited in that moment. And you could also imagine spending, 10 hours winning an HOH competition and then completely flopping. But I just we'll get there. Leah talks to Cam first, seemingly. He like asks to talk to do a one-on-one. They talk through what happened the last couple of weeks. Cam explains why he didn't trust Quinn and explains all of that stuff. Explains it away. She says she understands. She wants to protect him this week. And that's meaningful because the competition came down to something along the lines of herself, Cam, Angela, and Rubina, who dropped out in fourth place. Leah then offered safety to Cam and Angela, which they accepted and gave her the HOH. Something like that happened. So Cam has a deal for safety, and he should be good this week. He's using that safety, that influence that he seems to have, to push Leah onto not his trio, but the other trio, because of course. And says that he was planning to target that trio. If he had won, Leah says, well, I might have to do the same this week. They talk about, well, what should T-Core go up on the block? Should it be Kimo Rubina? Cam says, I don't think T-Core would even go home if she hits the block. So why even bother? Maybe it should just be Rubina and Kimo. And Leah's kind of like, yeah, you're probably right.
It's his own interest that he was. I mean, this is the first time we're really seeing Cam make something happen that's for the benefit of his game. So kudos to him because he wants to keep Chelsea around. But I'm just shocked that Leah, who was so like set on making this big move and kind of going after Quinn, the people that took out Quinn, and then completely just was like, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna do what you think is right for your game, Cam, and I'm going to put up 2 other nominees other than what's best for my game.
No, I mean, listen, the logic is fine. That Chelsea on her HOH week considered putting Leah up, put Leah's closest ally up instead, then blindsided both Leah's closest ally and Leah. Is also part of a trio that is better at competitions. So she should protect her.
Of course.
What's the confusion?
I think what for me, like what the actual confusion is like she's just been saying that she's just wanting to play and she wants to like have power. And I thought that she was going to be drunk with power and being like, ha, ha, ha. Like, I really am surprised that she went completely the other way and is doing a move that's obviously not best for her game and weak.
Leah also talks to Rubina. Rubina talks about the women's alliance. She talks about all of that stuff. Leah says she wants to protect Rubina as well. She doesn't want Rubina to go, but she needs some people are gonna have to go on the block, and it's a long conversation as these tend to be. But that was basically the gist of it. And afterward, Rubina is just talking up and down about like, I just can't throw people under the bus. It's just not me. It's just not who I am. It's just, turns out I'm just too good of a person. Yep. I mean, I could throw people under the bus, but I'm not. Not me.
Yeah, I heard her say a few times yesterday, like, we're good people, the good people. I was like, oh no, like, I do really like Rubina. I like T-Core. I like Kimo, but starting to say we're the good people, I'm like, oh no, are they turning into the friendship? Like, what's happening? Yeah, I wish, like, she does later on in the evening say that at this point, any moves that people make are like good for their game. Like, we made it so far, there's not that many options. So she comes around to realizing that people are going to do what's best for their game at this point. I just wish she'd take her own advice and like try to save herself here a little bit.
Yeah, would be nice, but what are you gonna do?
But she's playing for T-Core. She's admitted it, even though T-Core hasn't.
Here's the thing. If you're playing for T-Core, you should still be throwing people under the bus because it's not good for T-Core if you and Kimo go up.
What do you think that she could say that might be able to help her?
I don't know. How about anything?
Okay.
How about, hey, remember what Chelsea did to you? How about, hey, you know that Chelsea and T-Core are like locked in, right? You know that we've been protecting Chelsea because of T-Core all season long. Maybe that is throwing T-Core under the bus a little bit, but like it's also throwing Chelsea under the bus. Hey, you know that Chelsea's basically in a trio with Cam and MJ, and they've been locked in for a while. Like, I don't know. That things we've been talking about. Maybe we should share some of that with Leah, who's the HOH. I don't know.
They seem to want to keep information within themselves. They've done this the whole season. We can't be surprised.
Leah talks to MJ. They talk about the best way to take a shot at that trio. Leah brings up Chelsea as a potential pawn. Like maybe what if we put up somebody like Chelsea as a pawn? I'm just like, nah, that's not a good idea. Nah, that's not a good idea. This is a good week to get in with Chelsea. Leah's like, yeah, you're right.
Wow. Like so easy for Mackenzie to just like, shake her off the right target. I don't know like if she would have been able to convince her to do T-Core and Chelsea, but I'm just surprised that she doesn't have vengeance in her heart. I'd be so bitter. Like, I don't, maybe I'm just like a different type of player, but if I went through what Leah's gone through this season with Chelsea and like with my allies leaving back to back, like I'd be bitter and I'd be like, I don't care what promises I made. I'm taking you out. Like, even if it's to the detriment of my game, too bad.
Too bad. Leah also talks to Chelsea, of course, very similar conversation. Chelsea brings up, like, hey, after this week, the trio will control the votes. One of them isn't out. And Leah's like, yeah, that's totally right. Yeah, they will control the votes because it'll be down, you know? Yeah, we'll be down to to 7. And then, yeah, the 3 of them will have the votes to just do whatever they want.
There's another trio.
Yeah, how's the trio doing with votes if 2 of them are on the block this week? How's the trio doing votes if 2 of them are on the block next week? Yeah, man. Those 3 votes out of 7 people, they're really, really crushing it there with 2 of them on the block next week. Man, whoo, they are doing whatever they want.
Yes, but I mean, if they were maybe using the strategy of like, hey, we'll have people that we could continue putting up, like maybe that makes a little bit more sense. But
If they're outside, maybe they think they're playing Survivor.
fair. Survivor house.
Leah does bring up that she appreciated the conversation they had the week before, that one that we talked about that lasted a while, that like dulled the edges of that relationship. Turns out it did have some impact here. And when faced with this power that Leah has, I talked about this a little bit on the Q&A, which actually is available for anyone this week. Basically, you're in this spot. There's 2 sides, theoretically. And I don't know that Leah fully sees that there's 2 sides. I think that she has primarily been convinced by MJ and Cam that they're not Chelsea minions. I think that's the biggest problem here is not actually Chelsea herself, but MJ and Cam, who both have separate relationships with Leah and both have Leah convinced that they're not just playing for Chelsea. And therefore, Leah does not see the danger in that trio that is just as bad as the danger, if not worse, in the T-Core trio.
But just lied to her about the vote. Okay.
Exactly. But the problem here is that even if she does see those 2 sides, there is this temptation, and it's a bad one, and it's caused the downfall of many underdogs who are lucky enough to be in this position. There's this temptation to go, well, I don't want to piss off both sides. I just want to piss off one side. So I'm going to pick a side. I'm going to say, I'm with this trio and against this trio. And what that does is that it hands all of the power into the trio whose side you're choosing. Because once you nominate 2 people from one side, let's say, for instance, Kimo and Rubina.
Oh.
What you're doing is giving all of the power of the vote of who leaves between those 2 into the hands of the other trio, Chelsea, Cam, and MJ. So all week long, Kimo and Rubina theoretically are campaigning to Chelsea, Cam, and MJ. And let's say in this hypothetical scenario, that all week long, those 3 are reassuring Rubina, we're keeping you. We've got your back. Sorry about Kimo. Leah sucks, right? She put you in this position, but we didn't have anything to do with it, and we're here to protect you because we do have a better relationship with you than we do Kimo at the end of the day. So we're gonna keep you. We're gonna protect you. And Rubina's like, oh, thank you so much. Leah does suck. She put us both in this position, and I hate to see Kimo go, but I appreciate that you guys are gonna stick up for me and keep me around. And guess who Rubina is gonna want to work with next week if she wins HOH?
Trio.
Not gonna be you, right? What about the trio? What about the trio who you kept safe this week? The trio whose side you chose. Who are they going to want to work with? Are they going to work with you, who now can't compete in the following HOH and just held power? Or are they going to want to work with the person they just did a favor to that is definitely going to choose their side? The one that they just kept around and spent all week working on. It's probably not going to be you. It, at the very least, just puts all the power into their hands. Now, wipe that slate clean. You put two people from both sides. You put Tikor, you put Chelsea, right? Now, you have all the power all week long because both sides are campaigning to you and Angela, by extension, for the vote. Because Rubina and Kimo are voting to keep Tikor, and MJ and Cam are voting to keep Chelsea. And that means that Angela breaks that tie. And if you and Angela are in lockstep, and you don't even have to be, because you can fake a fight if you need to, but that's now we're getting, now we're getting past 101, but we're back here on 101. You are in power. You choose which side leaves. You can then choose your side at the end of the week, right? You can spend all week long telling Tikor or Chelsea if you want, but probably Tikor, hey, I'm sorry I had to put you up, but we're keeping you, right? After, she's mad at you for putting her up on a Friday. 6 days later, after 6 days of you saying, I really want you to stay, I really want you to stay, you finally choose to keep Tikor. You are in charge of that. And if Tikor's like, I'm pissed at you, I'm never forgiving you, or if you get a vibe, you can just switch to the other side. You do whatever you want because you're in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can use that power to develop whatever relationships you want, go in any direction you want. That is the best way to handle this kind of situation in most circumstances. And certainly, I think, in this circumstance.
And the feeds would probably be pretty good because people would have to be working the entire time.
And so, because additionally, both sides spend all week long campaigning against each other, talking crap about each other. You have so much dirt that, Tikor is having to say, well, here's the thing about Chelsea. And Chelsea's certainly saying, this is why you need to get Tikor out. And Tikor's finally learning how much Chelsea actually isn't on her side. And Kimo and Rubina are finally learning how much Chelsea isn't on their side. They're also learning how deeply locked in Chelsea's pocket Cam and MJ are. And they're realizing what a big trio that is. And vice versa. I mean, everybody already knows how much the other side is already trio, but they're campaigning against each other. Bad blood might pop up. There's just so many different options. It's not necessarily going to just magically fix everything, but it just gives you so many possibilities to get out of the hole that you are in. Whereas by putting one side on the block, you are just digging a deeper hole for where you are, because the possibilities for you to get out of it are so much lower. You are relying on the goodwill of the people that you just gave a favor to. And we just saw how well that worked for Quinn.
Yes, not well for Quinn at all. It's so funny because I thought that there was no way that those two weren't going on the block. And so the fact that we're living in, I guess it's Janky world, the fact that it didn't happen at all. And yeah, to all your points, it's just surprising that she couldn't see that. I know she has the influence of Cam, and hasn't been feeling like she's been connecting with the women, and she was isolating herself. And so maybe, she's just trying to feel like she's making friends and not making too many enemies. And maybe that's what she was trying to prevent. Because if she put up Chelsea and Tikor, she's probably scared that they're both going to be mad at her. Both sides are going to be mad at her. And so I think she's trying to make friends right now. So maybe that's why she's caught in this situation and not really able to see what's optimal for her game, because she's kind of wanting to make nice with everybody and just create one enemy.
Yeah. The rule of thumb is don't make friends with your nominations. Make friends with the vote. And I know the HOH can't vote, but the HOH has a lot of control over the vote most of the time,
Especially
because
with Angela.
you can use the nominations to set yourself up to be in control of the vote, right? So make friends with the vote, not the nominations, because the vote comes after the nominations, and people have short memories in the game. So And this isn't like a hard and fast rule, and there are certainly ways around this. And Leah is not like completely dead in the water here. There are ways this can work. If she does manage to like break MJ away from Chelsea somehow, right? Like then good for her. Or Cam. Are those things likely? I don't think we think so. But but there are worlds where that could work. But again, quite frankly, I think she's more likely to break them away from Chelsea if she puts Chelsea on the block, whether or not Chelsea stays. Because okay. Anyway, so Leah talks to T-Core. She compliments T-Core's game. Quinn said you had the best social game ever. And T-Core says that her plan was not to come after her this week. But again, this conversation doesn't really go anywhere. T-Core then encourages Kimo to go to Leah and campaign because it's becoming increasingly obvious that Kimo might be going on the block. And Kimo's like, yeah, I almost feel like I just want to blow some things up. She's like, go for it. He's like, yeah, at some point.
What else? There's nothing to do in the backyard. Like, nominations are coming soon. You're likely going to be on the block. You're likely going to be the one that's going to be going home. No time like the present.
Yeah. But then nominations happened, and wouldn't you know it, Kimo and Rubina on the block. So a lot of people are saying flop HOH, right? It's not something we're not used to. The underdogs don't often, especially in the modern era, get a chance to do something with an HOH because they don't often win HOHs in this spot. Like this was one of those like miracle HOH wins. And so when you have like a miracle HOH win like this, and especially if they had already talked about doing the smart right thing, it's like, right? You get these moments. A lot of people are thinking about Jess in season 19, like, whoa!
Oh man, that was so bad. So bad. Ramsey, justice for Ramsey.
But then you can think of Jess in season 21 and go, yes, see, smart,
legend.
So it could go one way or the other. But there are ways out of this, right? Like beyond just like climbing the mountain of actually trying to pull MJ or Cam away from Chelsea. The biggest and best way is that there is still a veto. And in the event that the veto is used, Leah can put Chelsea on the block up against Kimo or Rubina. And that still does something for her because you then theoretically have the same scenario, which is 2 votes against Chelsea, 2 votes against Kimo or Rubina, and then Angela gets to decide. And just like that, you can still send Chelsea right out the door. Is that what she intends? Doesn't sound like it. It seems like if the veto is used, she's more likely to put T-Core on the block, which is honestly kind of worst case scenario. Maybe not worst case scenario because she maybe can actually get T-Core out because for whatever reason, Chelsea still actually seems to want T-Core out of the 3, which is wild to me.
I think it's just the competitive side, like knowing that T-Core has a lot of friends, we'll say, and people protecting her. Hasn't been on the block yet, so
yeah. I guess Chelsea just doesn't realize that T-Core is basically the reason
protecting
she's
her.
in such a good spot. But she could theoretically then get T-Core out, but it's not like the best position. Getting T-Core out would be okay. So in terms of, I think like the best outcomes for Leah, given that she's put these 2 on the block, best outcome is say Kimo comes down, Chelsea goes up, and then Chelsea gets voted out. And a lot of people are saying, but T-Core is not going to vote out Chelsea. right? Like, Tikor is going to actually vote out Rubina or Kimo over Chelsea. At the very least, I would say to that I don't think it's a given. And quite frankly, I think that Tikor would vote Chelsea out over one of her trio. I think that she's locked in with her. I mean, she's consistently been saying in the diary room, like, I'm so excited. The three of us made it this far. The chances of one of us getting to the end and one of us winning is so high now. I think that Tikor is locked in with the trio. I think that she will vote out Chelsea. There are people that disagree, and I can understand that. But again, what I would say to the people that say, "Oh, she will definitely not vote out Chelsea," I very much disagree with that. I think at the very least, we can't say for certain one way or the other. Even though I personally lean toward voting out Chelsea to protect her own trio. Um, but here's the thing: even if she didn't vote out Chelsea, even if Leah puts Chelsea on the block and Tikor votes out Kimo or Rubina over Chelsea, at the very least, that too says something. It does something for her, for Leah, beyond just Kimo or Rubina being voted out for no reason. Because what that at least does for her at that point is says to Cam, not Cam, but says to maybe MJ, like,
Look at
look
this.
at that. Like, look what Chelsea has. You think you can beat her at the end when Tikor betrayed her own trio to keep her around? Like, there's something you can get out of even that. So that's like, that's why Chelsea going up is like best case scenario, because Chelsea either leaves or you at least get something out
Expose
of it,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Second best scenario, veto gets used, Tikor goes on the block, and Chelsea betrays Tikor and sends Tikor out the door. That helps you in a couple of ways, because now Tikor is gone and the connective tissue between Tikor and Chelsea is also gone. You can now work on Kimo and Rubina, or try to. They will probably just fall in line with Chelsea, but because it's not like Chelsea betrayed them. She voted Tikor out over them. And if anything, they might be, grateful to her. But you like, there at least Tikor is now gone, and there's a little bit more play there in certain situations. If Chelsea doesn't betray Tikor and Tikor stays, then that's like really bad. That's like worst case scenario. Um,
Now,
and then the
I
veto
was,
doesn't get used. This sucks.
yeah.
This is why these nominations are bad.
Well, I was thinking when I saw the nominations go up, I was like, maybe this is all a backdoor plan, right? Like maybe this is what she's intending, and she's hoping to maybe gain some information with having these two people involved. I don't know, whatever. And because when she was talking with even Tikor, I can't remember if this was before or after the nominations, but she was saying like, "Oh, I have you in my end game plans. Like, you're like, I'm thinking about you in the future." And she's kind of like alluding that she wanted Tikor there, and that maybe she would see with her nominations that there's going to be some sort of plan in play. And so I was thinking that maybe that's why she's doing that. She wants, say, like Tikor to win the veto, take off. It seems like she wants her to take off Rubina, and then maybe Chelsea was going to go up. Like I thought like maybe that's what the master plan is, to get Chelsea up, but it's like forcing her hand in that way. But throughout the rest of the day, it seems like that's not really what she was like planning on doing, and that backdoor plan isn't really part of her master plan.
I mean, because I did, when I talked through the options on Twitch, I did consider this option, which is nominate two of the trio with the intent to backdoor Chelsea, because it gives you the most amount of opportunity to make sure that Chelsea's on the block on Thursday. But I think a key element of this was like Tikor should be on the block, because Tikor versus Chelsea is the more guaranteed you control the vote. Whereas if you leave Tikor off the block, you do have that possibility of Tikor flipping and keeping Chelsea, which is worst case scenario, or not worst case scenario, but like it's means Chelsea stays and Tikor stays. So there is some value to this, but I think she botched the nominations there, because now she does have to rely on Tikor. And then, it's also just not the better play from my perspective, when you could have just done Tikor and Chelsea in the first place. So, and I say all this we have basically no indication that Leah plans to do almost any of it. As far as we have been able to ascertain from her discussions, Kimo and Rubina are the nominations. And if she has to do a replacement, she might do T-Core, but not even necessarily with the intention of sending T-Core out, because she doesn't even realize right now how willing Chelsea is to send T-Core out. Maybe a little bit, but I don't know how much she would believe it. So she might be thinking of backdooring T-Core. She might be thinking of backdooring Chelsea. But right now, all that we know for sure is that she wants Kimo and Rubina on the block and might want one of them gone. So
seems like she's leaning towards wanting Kimo gone, but that just could be, yeah,
that would be the assumption. So all of that said, that's basically where we are. T-Core then spent the rest of the night complaining about Angela to Rubina. She's pissing her off. She wants her gone. She can't stand the sound of her voice. And many more complaints. She's very upset with Angela, and she can't get away from her because they're all outside, and she hates being outside. And T-Core's having a lot of trouble being outside and having to deal with Angela, and is going to spend the night complaining about Angela.
Yeah, in a whisper.
Yep.
In a whisper. Yeah. I mean, I would be kind of frustrated if I were, I guess, Rubina, because, Angela kind of after the Noms started talking about how she got to the final three, and, I guess there was a deal that was kind of made. And so just kind of like throwing some salt into the wound of Rubina, who's now on the block, and she was out fourth, and she wasn't able to. She didn't make a deal with Leah because she wanted to win it on her own, and so I can understand why there's a little bit of frustration, at least from Rubina's side of things. But yeah, T-Core's not a fan, and Angela's not going home for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Chantele, anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, they had ice cream at one point in the night. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's about it. It's
I mean, they had clothes. I guess that was probably from the head of household competition. Janky World attire.
Yeah. So I've got like a sneeze coming on that is quite getting
look at the light. Look at the light. They got to take some of the stuffed animals off of the walls when they were playing some of the carnival games.
Yeah, they played some carnival games. Cam's very good at them. That's not what I would be doing if I were in the house.
Yeah, showing them like, oh, I'm really good at these.
Didn't matter. But yeah, so that's basically what we've got. We will see what happens. The veto obviously matters a lot, but depending on what happens with the veto, we may see the rest of the week. I mean, this could be really a really slow week. Because even if a move does happen, it might be slow because they're outside. But if a move doesn't happen and it is genuinely Kimo over Rubina on the block after, like if the veto competition happens, somebody wins and they're like, yeah, it's not being used. The week is
womp womp. Like, yeah, it's just bad. Just
take
pull
the week off.
This week. Oh my god, vacation for Taran.
All right. Well, that is what we have for you then. Today, I will be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 26 live feeds, including what happens with the veto competition that we assume will happen today. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, that's about what we've got. Check out the scripted coverage we got going on. Rings of Power, we talked yesterday. Tastemakers coming up soon. And find me on Twitch if you want. You can check out the stream I did yesterday. You can still find the VOD there, the video, if you want to watch it back. I just went through like all of the scenarios in more detail about this HOH and the possibilities.
Did you go through run this one through? Or did you think it was like, it's so bad, it's not an option?
No, I considered this. I mean, I considered this. Again, I came to the conclusion that if you did want to go this route, T-Core on the block and a guaranteed thought of backdooring Chelsea is the plan. People have also talked about like, oh, well, with this plan, you could convince Cam or MJ to use the veto if they won by convincing them that this is a backdoor play on T-Core and then turn around and backdoor Chelsea. That's just
Never.
I mean, in some situations, but that's just not the play here. That burns them on you so bad. Like,
Mhm.
tricking somebody to that extent is usually not worth it. Um, especially at this point in the game. It would not be something I recommend unless you're like super, super desperate. Like it's a much, I mean, at this point, maybe she is super, super desperate because she's already made the mistake, but like it's much easier to make a move that doesn't require that kind of situation. So, um, anyway, check all that stuff out. Chantel, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Shan____Fran or at ShanFriendFriend on Instagram or at Reality Realness with 3 S's on YouTube. We had a week off of the challenge season 40 coverage, so we'll be back this week to get back into, I think, episode 5 or 6. Episode 5.
All right. Well, that is what we have for you then today. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I will see all of you next time.